Hello and welcome to CS112's lesson 16.2 hour hand. This is part of the University of Idaho's CS112 dual credit program. All right, so today we're going to be working specifically on the hour hand, and that seems like it might be a bit excessive in terms of like, all right, we're going to spend an entire class period working on just the hour hand. We spent one class and we were able to build the entire clock face and all the little dots and stuff like that. But the way that we actually make the hour hand work is actually pretty complex, and we're going to talk about kind of why that is. So, if you don't already have that prior program open, so that then we could work on it, you should have that initialized code. You should have the face of the clock drawn. Now we're going to be adding the clock hand. So at the end of this, your clock should have all of your global variables. There should be a setup procedure. There should be an initializing sizes procedure. There should be a draw procedure that includes running that initialize sizes, running or drawing the clock face, and then also drawing the hour hand. So to set the time of the clock in our program, we're going to use time from the internal clock of our computer. This typically gets updated via internet every once in a while. If you get a computer where the internal battery actually dies, you can actually run into errors that come up from it not knowing the time, and there could be things. But every computer has some type of internal clock, and so we're actually going to be utilizing this. So in order to get the computer time, we're going to use these functions, and these actually already exist. They're second, minute, and hour. There's actually several others, but these are the only ones that we're really looking at. For this lesson, we're going to set the variables for each of the above, but we're going to only add the hour hand to this clock right now. So in our draw function, we're going to add some float variables, H, M, and S for hours, minutes, and seconds, and we're going to set those to the specific things. So let's go ahead and get started. So you'll see that I have my program open, and this is going to be inside the draw function, and I'm going to put this below where this is me drawing my entire clock from before. So I'm going to actually go below that the entire drawing spot, and so this actually just right here. So I'm going to make a couple floats. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to have a float, and you can either do H, M, and S all at one time, and then do S equals seconds, or you could do float second or float S and make that second. It's kind of up to you. M equals minute, and H equals hour. Now, in case you haven't looked at an analog clock recently, something that you should know is that the hour hand on a clock moves slowly. It doesn't just suddenly like tick. It doesn't make a huge jump every hour. And so what we need to do is we actually kind of need to keep that in mind so that it doesn't look weird. So when converting using angles, we only need to consider that every hour the hand only is moving 5 ticks on the clock. It only goes, 5 clicks. And the time on the computer, the way that it kind of comes across, is actually computers use 24-hour time. Because adding that PM and AM is really not efficient for them. And so computer time is done in 24 hours. So what we need to do is we need to convert this to 12 hours. And what we're going to use is we're going to use that modulus function, that percent function that we have right up here on the I%5. So on that I%5, that's where we're going to be using that modulus function. Or not, that's kind of an example of it. So what we need to do is we need to alter our hour to make it so that it uses 12. So go ahead and try and figure that out on your own. I'm going to give you just a second on that. All right. Hopefully you're able to kind of get from that, just kind of those hints that I was giving you, that we want to do percent 12. And so what that's going to give us is that's going to give us a value from 0 to 12. or 0 to 11, apologies. So we're going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're not ever going to get actually a 12 out of that, which might seem a little weird, but if you kind of think about it, like top of like midnight, we kind of consider a new day, and noon we consider a part of the afternoon, and so it's kind of it kind of makes sense a little bit. Okay. So what we also need to do is we need to adjust for the minutes past the hour so that then our hand doesn't just jump from 1 hour to the next. So if we did minutes divided by 60, minutes divided by 60 would give us the extra time for each minute past the hour. So how might we want to use this in our code? Well, the way that we want to use this in our code is we could go plus m, because m, as we said, was minute, divided by 60. And some people like to put 60.0 just to kind of make sense for themselves. And now we have it so that it kind of takes into consideration the minutes as well. Now, the next part of this, and we still aren't done because all we've done now is we've just kind of manipulated this h variable, but it doesn't mean anything. It just exists. That variable h just exists, and nothing's kind of happening with it. So what we need to do is we need to kind of work on this. So the hour hand moves 5 ticks in an hour, so we need to adjust the hour again. So far, the variable h is a value between 0 and 11.
Mic off. Mic on.
With the minutes expressed as a decimal. So, actually, let me pull up my example that I got for you guys. If the time is 12:45 p.m. in 24-hour time, it's 14:45. So if we use this formula that we kind of have already, we plug it in, we'd get 2.75. This is giving the number of tick marks, which would put the hour hand between 12 and 1. The variable h needs to be adjusted so that the hour hand is 3/4 of the way from 2 to 3 on the clock face. How can we do this? Well, remember that we move 5 ticks each hour. So what we actually can do is we can multiply by 5. So now we should be adjusted enough so that we're able to map the hour hand to the angle. To get that angle for the hour hand, the mapping that we use for the dots can be copied and we can modify that for it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I need to change this to be this times 5. And if you look at, if you go back a little bit in time and you look at it, you'll see that we put this around here. And that's just kind of to make everything nice and make sure that it all kind of happens inside of itself. So now we can actually start drawing that hour hand. And so let's start drawing it. We're going to let's go ahead and make a stroke weight. And that way it's kind of heavy weight. So, oops. And let's make it 4. Because the hour hand's typically a little thicker than the other two hands. What we're going to do is we are going to do almost the exact same thing that we did before. So what we're going to do is 4 int I equals 0. Actually, do we need to? Actually, I don't think we need to do this for loop. Let's try this. We can say angle equals a map, and instead of I, what we're going to use is we're going to use h. So h, and actually I'm just going to straight up just copy this right here because works smarter. Oops, Control V and Control V. We want to change the stroke color to be kind of the same way as we did the fill. Oops. So I'm going to use that. And I have to change one thing. Got to change this to H. And now we need to be able to draw it. So we say almost the same as what we have right here, except we don't need to use that stuff in there. And we can actually just say line. And we need to go from the center, so CX comma CY. And then give this a semicolon. And if you need time, definitely take a minute. Oh, missing a right parentheses right here. So now if I run this, hopefully this does the trick. So if you ran this, oh, I don't know if that, no, that didn't show. If you run this, this might happen, where you kind of start off and all of a sudden it just becomes like all thick colored and is all the same color. Over time, this will change color. So think for a minute on why this issue happened. What happened here that made it so that this happened, that this occurred? Now, hopefully you're able to kind of logic it out a little bit and say, hey, you know what happened is, like, the thing that he changed was he added, like, the stroke color, he made the stroke weight more, he made all of these changes, and then we never canceled them out. So what we want to do is we want to make it so that they cancel out. And good practice says that you should either set it to where it was or kind of just delete it almost. And so after it does this, I might just say no stroke. Because that way, it should, as long as we did everything right, let's make sure, hopefully we did it all right, it should draw. Now, another issue that we have is that we actually went too far, because I was kind of going a little faster. The other thing that we need to change about this is we need to change this radius. So instead of this being seconds radius, we want this to be hour radius. Hours. Oops, too many S's. So now if we run it, we have this. Actually, I don't know if you can see that. We have the hour hand pointing towards the hour. So for me right now, when I'm recording this, it's 11:25. So you can see, all right, it's between the 11 and the 12, and it's almost halfway between. So it's definitely pointing at the right time. So what we actually did most, if not all of this already. We declared float variables for hours, minutes, and seconds. We used the time function to set the hour, minute, and seconds variable. We drew the hour hand with a stroke weight of 4. We did a length of the hour radius, and the color matches the tick mark. What you probably need to go do is you need to go in and you need to comment on stuff. Once you do that, turn it in the way that your teacher has prescribed for whatever program that you're using. As always, happy coding.